There are players who glide across the pitch like dancers. There are those who mesmerize with elegance, balance, and grace. And then, there's Hulk. You didn't watch Hulk play football. You experienced it. A force of nature. A walking tank with explosive power, a rocket launcher for a left foot, and the terrifying ability to bend games to his will in a split second. Defenders didn't want to stop him, they just wanted to survive him. But for all the carnage he caused, for all the goals, assists, and raw electricity he brought to the game, Hulk never quite made it to where many felt he belonged, at the very top, among Europe's elite clubs. Not because he couldn't, but because of the path he chose. Hulk's story doesn't begin in the floodlights of a famous academy. It starts in Campina Grande, Brazil. Far from the spotlight, far from the hype. As a teenager, he was stocky, powerful, and didn't quite fit the Brazilian stereotype of flair and finesse. But what he did have was an absurd left foot and an engine that wouldn't quit. And instead of climbing through the ranks in Brazil, he did something almost unheard of, he went to Japan. That's right. A Brazilian striker, still raw and unknown, packing his bags and heading for the J-League. Not for the glamour, but for the chance to play. And he played. At Tokyo Verdy, he tore through defenses like a monster in a kaiju movie. He scored goals that echoed across continents, even if no one in Europe was watching yet. Eventually, the call came from Europe, but again, not the one you'd expect. It wasn't Real Madrid, not Manchester United, it was Porto. A club with a knack for spotting rough diamonds and turning them into stars. And with Hulk, they struck gold. In Portugal, he became a cult icon. A brute force of a forward who wasn't just powerful, he was clinical, creative, and relentless. He smashed goals from 30 yards, brushed off defenders like flies, and turned ordinary matches into spectacles. He won titles. He won fans. And he made people ask, who is this guy? By the time he left Porto, Hulk wasn't just a rising star, he was a global name. Clubs all over Europe were interested. This was his moment. The move to a footballing giant felt inevitable. And then, he went to Russia. Zenit St. Petersburg. A record transfer fee. An even bigger paycheck. And just like that, the dream of seeing Hulk in the Champions League semi-finals or at the Camp Nou, going head-to-head with the best of the best, faded. Now to be fair, Hulk delivered in Russia. He was brilliant. Top scorer, assist king, and the same explosive presence every time he stepped on the field. But with all due respect to Zenit and the Russian Premier League, it wasn't the stage his talent deserved. Then came the next twist. China. Shanghai SIPG. A deal drenched in money and headlines, but even further from football's epicenter. And once again, Hulk dominated. But few were watching. That's the thing with Hulk, he never stopped being a goal machine. Never stopped being a beast. But he just kept moving further from the spotlight. He wasn't chasing Ballon d'Ors. He was chasing something else. Stability. Family. Maybe peace. And while the world kept asking what if, he just kept doing his thing. Scoring screamers, shoving defenders off the ball, and reminding everyone that he was built different. He came back to Brazil later in his career and picked up right where he left off. Atletico Mineiro saw the return of the same Hulk, older, yes, but no less terrifying. He led the league in goals, dragged his team to a title, and proved once more that he didn't need Europe's approval to be elite. But the truth is, Hulk could have been that guy. He had everything. The physique, the power, the confidence, and the moments of brilliance that made you believe he could have dominated in any league, any era. Instead, he became something else, a legend on the edges of football's biggest stages. A monster who never got his blockbuster movie. A superhero who played away from the Marvel universe. But to those who watched him, who really watched him, he was unforgettable. So here's to Hulk, the beast who smashed expectations, left scorch marks on every net he touched, and made his own path, no matter what anyone thought. And if you love stories like this, underrated icons, footballing what-ifs, and legends who walk the road less traveled, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's so much more to uncover. Stick around. We're just getting started.